In the last lecture, we have seen the problems regarding the stopping side distance and how the stopping side distance are calculated. Okay. So we have seen the two formulae in that. When the velocity in meter per second is given and when the velocity is given in kmph. Okay. There are two different formula for calculating SSD. We have seen that formula when the SSD is given in meter per second and when the SSD is given in kilometer per hour. Okay, for the two cases we are using different formulas. And also when the sloping is given, that is the gradient is given, then we are adding the gradient in that, and for that we have taken the phi square upon 2gf plus or minus 0.01 m. Okay, for that we have adding the gradient. When the gradient is plus, there means what? It is ascending. Okay, if the gradient is ascending, we are taking the it is as plus, and when the gradient is descending, we are taking it as a minus. Okay, so when the gradient is there, we also have to add the gradient in the formula. Also, we are considering if there is a braking efficiency is given. If there is no braking efficiency is given, no problem. But if they have given the braking efficiency, at that time also we have to add the braking efficiency as well. If they suppose there is a given as a 60% braking efficiency, then at that time we have to take 0.6 F. Okay, if the braking efficiency is given as 60%, we have to use 0.6 F. Like that, we have to use the F value. Okay, depends on the braking efficiency that is given. If it is not given, then use normal formula, general formula, which will be used. That we have seen in the last lecture. Also, we have solved some problem on that. Now we will move forward. Now, our second point in that is the overtaking side distance. Okay, in this second is the overtaking side distance. For that, it is very important to draw this figure. Okay, for overtaking side distance, everyone please draw this figure. Everyone please draw this figure. This is very important figure to get understand how to we calculate the OSD, overtaking side distance. What is D1, what is D2, what is D3. Okay, that all that we should know. Everyone must draw this figure. Draw this figure, everyone. Completed. So see here, what is meant by overtaking side distance? So it is the minimum distance the open to the vision of the driver of the vehicle intending to overtake the slow vehicle ahead safely against the traffic in the opposite direction. So what is OSD? Suppose this is A1, the vehicle we see in the figure. A1 is the fast moving vehicle, B is the slow moving vehicle, and C is the vehicle which is coming from the another direction. Okay, suppose A is the fast moving the vehicle and it has to go for the overtake for the vehicle B, and suppose this vehicle C is coming from the opposite direction. So what happens? See here, the vehicle A decides to overtake the vehicle B. Okay, vehicle A decides to overtake the vehicle B at this time. Okay, at this time the distance is taken as d1. Okay, what is distance d1? In this region, the vehicle or the driver of the vehicle A is decided to go for overtaking. The instant when he starts the overtaking to the vehicle B up to the point A3, see in the figure up to point A3 where it overtakes completely to the vehicle B, this distance is taken as D2, means total overtaking period. Okay, means what? Total overtaking period. So D1 is the distance traveled by vehicle A when he decides to go for overtake. Okay, D1, D2 is the distance traveled by vehicle A. D2 is the distance traveled by vehicle A when he starts the overtaking, means total period of the overtaking, the instant when he start overtaking and the instant when he overtakes the vehicle B. That distance is taken as D2, and D3 is the distance traveled by vehicle C during this overtaking periods. Okay, the D3 is the distance traveled by vehicle C during this overtaking period. Okay, so we have to calculate the distance D1 plus D2 plus D3. It will gives us the total overtaking site distance. Okay, so while calculating the OSD, we should know that the height of the driver's eyes level from the road surface, we always take it as 1.2 meter. Okay, the height of driver's eyes is always taken as 1.2 meter from the road surface. And also the height of object is always taken as 1.2 meter. Okay, for OSD. But we have seen in the SSD, the height of the eye level of driver from the road surface, it is taken as 1.2 meter. But the height of the obstruction or the object which is ahead, that height is taken as 0.15 meter for SSD. But here in the OSD, both the heights are taken as 1.2 meter. That is a change. Please remember this. Then the factors that affects on the OSD are, okay, what are the factors that affects on OSD? The velocity of the overtaken vehicle, and the vehicle coming in the opposite direction. This is very important. Okay, the velocities of the all these three vehicles that must be known to calculate the overtaking side distance. Velocity of overtaking and overtaken. Okay, what is meant by overtaken vehicle? What is meant by overtaking vehicle? In this figure, the vehicle A is known as overtaking vehicle. Okay, vehicle A is known as overtaking vehicle. Vehicle B is taken as overtaken vehicle. Please remember these words. Overtaking vehicle is A1 or A, and overtaken vehicle is vehicle B in this figure. Okay, please remember these words. These are the confusing words: overtaking and overtaken. Okay. Okay, so this is the first factor that we should know: the velocity of overtaking vehicle, velocity of overtaken vehicle, and the velocity of the vehicle which is coming from the opposite direction. Okay, that is vehicle C, which is coming from the another lane and from another direction. Okay, that we should also know, so that we can easily pass the vehicle B uh, in the vision of the driver. Okay, easily pass. If suppose many times the velocity of vehicle C is not given, at that time the velocity of vehicle C is taken as the velocity of fast moving vehicle. Okay, when the velocity of the vehicle C, that is coming from the another direction or opposite direction, if we don't know that vehicle's velocity, then at that time it is taken as the fast moving vehicle velocity. In A and B, which one is the fast moving? Vehicle A. Means what? The vehicle A and vehicle C's velocity are taken as same if the vehicle velocity of vehicle C is not given. Okay, it is taken as fast moving vehicle. Then the spacing between the vehicle which is turned depends on the speed. Okay, we should also know the spacing between the vehicles, and ultimately these spacings are depends on the speeds of the vehicle. Then skill and reaction time of the driver. Okay, what is the skill of the driver and the reaction time of the driver? It is reaction time. It is calculated by using Pew theory. And generally, this reaction time is taken as 2.5 seconds. Okay. Rate of acceleration of the overtaking vehicle. Okay, because the vehicle A is required to accelerate more so that he can pass the vehicle B easily. Okay, vehicle A should have to accelerate so that he should easily or safely pass the vehicle B. So we should also know the acceleration of the vehicle A, so that there will not be any accident. Okay. The gradient of the road. If there is a gradient in the road, we should know the gradient of the road, whether it is ascending gradient, whether it is descending gradient. Okay, that also we should know while calculating the overtaking side distance. So this is the time space diagram illustration of the overtaking side distance. Okay, this is the time space diagram. Please see very carefully. I will show what it indicates. See the red lines. See in this figure, the red line indicates vehicle A. Please see carefully. I will show here. The vehicle A. See here, vehicle A is indicated by red line. Vehicle A is indicated by red line. Then vehicle B, it is indicated by blue line. Vehicle B, it is indicated by blue line. And vehicle C, it is indicated by this green line. Okay, vehicle C is indicated by this green line. Now see here, they have shown here how the time and space diagram is related. Okay, see at this first point here. Okay, I will show here. See at this first point here at vehicle A, the dotted line shows where the vehicle A is. This is the first point. Okay. then the vehicle A is at this position initially at the time t0. This is the time t0. At time t0, the vehicle A is at this position, vehicle B is at this position, okay, and vehicle C is at this position. Please see carefully. This shows what? I will repeat. Please see here, I will repeat. The first time period is t0. The first time period is t0. That is the initial time. Okay, t0 is what? The initial time. In this time, the vehicle is at this position. This here, I will show by round. Vehicle A is at this position. It is indicated by red line. Vehicle B is at this position. And vehicle C is at this position. Okay. Then it travels some distance and it reach at this position 2. See, this is the position 2. This is position 1. Position 2 here. The vehicle A in the red color. Okay. When it reaches to the position 2, it travels some distance d1. When it reaches the position 2, it travels some distance d1 and the time is at t1. Okay. Means what? It travels from t0 to t1. It travels from t0 to t1 and distance is d1. Then at this position, he decided to go for overtaking. At this position, he decided to go for overtaking. And now see here at this position. See here at this position. Here in the graph, I have marked here. Please see here at this position, the vehicle A is overtaken the vehicle B. Vehicle A is overtaken the vehicle B as well as vehicle C also reaches there. Okay, so this distance in the distance is known as d2. What is this distance? And the time is from t1 to t3. Okay, see here the time is from t1 to t3 time. When the vehicle is a travel from time t1 to t3, it covers the distance of d2. Means which time is there? Overtaking time. What is overtaking time? From t1 to t3. This is overtaking time. And in this time, the vehicle travels the distance d2. Okay. And what is d3? From first beginning to the end. Means from time t0 to t3. Okay, from beginning to the end means time t0 to t3. Vehicle C travels some distance. Okay, vehicle C travels some distance and that distance is taken as d3. This time and the distance traveled by that vehicle, this is shown by this graph, and that graph is known as time space diagram. Okay, this diagram is known as time space diagram. What this diagram indicates, in how much time the vehicle travels, how much distance. Okay, I will repeat once again. This is somewhat confusing part. See, initially when the vehicle A is decided to go for overtake the vehicle B. Okay, that time period is T0. Okay, that time period is t0, that is initial time. At this time, the vehicle A decides I will go for the overtake. He starts the overtaking the vehicle B at time t1. Okay, at time t1, he starts to overtake the vehicle B. At time t3, at time t3, he completely overtakes the vehicle B. At time t3, he completely overtakes the vehicle B. Okay, but during this time, means from t0 to t1, from t1 to t3, the vehicle C also travels some distance. Okay, when the vehicle A decided to go for overtake, the vehicle C also travels some distance. That distance is taken as d3. Okay, so this is the time and space diagram. From t0 to t1, vehicle A decided to go for overtake, and the distance traveled during that period is taken as d1. The distance traveled during that period is taken as d1. When it starts to overtake vehicle B from t1 and it completes the overtaking action at time t3, means during this period of t1 to t3, it travels the distance d2. Vehicle A travels the distance d2. Okay, and during this total uh, from t1 to t3, sorry, t0 to t3 total time period, vehicle C travels some distance and that distance is taken as d3. Okay, so this is d1, d2 and d3. You must know the what time period that is taken for go for the overtaking. Okay, because the formula is depends on that only which vehicle takes how much time to overtake the particular vehicle. So we have not now we have seen what is t0, t1, t3 time period, and during that time period how the vehicle A overtakes the vehicle B. It is shown in this diagram. This diagram is known as time space diagram. Instead, take the screenshot of this diagram, or else if you want, draw this diagram. This diagram completely shows the overtaking activity. This diagram shows the complete overtaking activity. Just draw this diagram. This diagram is called as time space diagram. This is very important to know how the OSD works, how the overtaking side distances works. This is shown very beautifully in this diagram. The red color indicates vehicle A. Red color indicates vehicle A. Blue color indicates vehicle B. Blue color indicates vehicle B. And green color indicates vehicle C. Okay. Please draw this diagram, everyone. Everyone, please draw this figure. Please see here. While drawing the figure, I will also mark some points or tell some points. See here, the line the line B and line C indicates what? The vehicle B and vehicle C. Okay. While drawing the figure, also listen. I'll tell the line B and line C is a straight line. Okay, please see in the figure what indicates line B and line C. It is straight line. Means what? Vehicle B and vehicle C are constantly moving with the same speed. They do not change their speed. They do not accelerate. Okay. Line B and line C, what it indicates? They are moving constantly with the same speed without any acceleration. But see here in the line A, initially it is with the high speed. Dot 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 line indicates here. This dot line indicates what? Its speed if he has not changed his speed. Okay. This line indicates if the vehicle A does not changes his speed, he will go with this dotted line. Okay. But at this point, what happens? At this point T0, what happens? He saw the vehicle B and reduced his speed because the vehicle B is moving slowly, so that he have to reduce his speed. So this is indicated by this sloping line. Means what? This line indicates the speed is reduced. Initially speed was high. It is indicated by this dotted line. Okay. Initially the speed was high, and that is indicated by this dotted line. But now what happens? He saw the vehicle B, but it is moving very slowly, so that he reduces his speed. So the line deflects here. And at this point, T1, what he decided to go for overtake vehicle B. At this point, what he does, he accelerates his speed. Okay. So the line changes its direction because vehicle A starts the acceleration. Means what? He increases the speed. Okay. He increases the speed so that the direction of this line get changes. Means what? By this direction of the line also we can understand how the OSD, how the speed of the overtaking vehicle differs. Okay, that is vehicle A. How the speed of vehicle A is changes point to point. Because the vehicle B as well as vehicle C are moving with the constant speed. But vehicle A changes his speed point to point. Okay, depends on his reaction. As he saw the vehicle B initially, he reduces his speed because that vehicle is moving with the slow speed. So the graph grows down this line. After that, he decided to go for the overtaking. So the graph will goes on increasing. The line will change the direction because he start to overtake the vehicle B because he increases his speed. He accelerates his speed. Okay, that line also indicates the variation of the speed with the time of the vehicle A. Of vehicle A. Vehicle B and vehicle C are moving with the constant speed. Okay. Red line indicates vehicle A. Blue line indicates vehicle B, and green line indicates vehicle C, which is coming from opposite direction. Okay. This picture gives a very clear idea about the OSD. So that draw this diagram. Everyone, let me know when you complete. झाल्यावर सांगा मला. Draw carefully. This point is t0, means time. This is t1. This is t2. This is t3. This is t1. This is t2. Sorry, this is t0. This is t1. This is t2. This is t3. These are the time. T1, T2, T3, and T0. It seems as 1. Okay, the 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3 असं दिसतंय. The 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3 नाही. That is time. It is not 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3. It is T0, T1, T2, and T3. It's T. It looks like 1. T0, T1, T2, and T3. And these distances are T1, T2, and T3. Completed. Those who have not done it, screenshot, take a screenshot and draw afterwards. Take a screenshot. And draw it afterwards if you have not done it. So we will move forward. The dynamics of the overtaking operation is given in the figure, which is time space diagram. Okay, now only I have explained the time space diagram. Okay, the x-axis denotes the time and y-axis shows the distance traveled by the vehicle. The trajectory of the slow-moving vehicle B is shown as a straight line, which indicates that the traveling at a constant speed. Now only I have told. Okay, the vehicle B travels with the constant speed, so that it given as a straight line in the diagram. The fast moving vehicle A is traveling behind the vehicle B. The B's trajectory of the vehicle is shown initially with the steeper slope. Okay, because initially, as he saw the vehicle B, it is moving with the slow speed. He slow down his speed behind the A B. When the vehicle A is behind the B, it gives the steeper slope. After he starts to overtake, and the he changes his acceleration. Okay, then it the dotted line indicates the path of the vehicle A if the B was absent. The vehicle A slow down to follow the vehicle B as shown in the figure with the same slope from T0 to T1. Then it overtakes the vehicle B and occupies the left lane at the time T3. The time duration total T is equal to T3 minus T1 in the actual duration of overtaken operation. What is the actual overtaking operation? See here, initially what happens, A is moving behind the B. Okay, it takes some time from T0 to T1 to decide to go for the overtake. At time T1, that is after traveling the distance of D1, he starts to overtake vehicle B, and he overtake vehicle B in the time period from T1 to T3. Means what? The actual time period which is required to travel the to overtake the vehicle B is T3 minus T1. Okay, whatever is the actual time that required to overtake the vehicle B, it is T3 minus T1. That is from he starts the overtaking vehicle B and to he ends the overtaking operation. That is indicated by the distance D2, and in this time period the vehicle C travels some distance from the another lane, and that time distance is taken as D3. Okay, D1 is the distance traveled by the overtaking vehicle A during the reaction time T is equal to T1 minus T0. D2 is the distance traveled by the vehicle during the actual overtaking operation. Capital T is equal to T3 minus T1. D3 is the distance traveled by one coming vehicle C during the overtaking operation time T. Therefore, overtaking side distance is equal to D1 plus D2 plus D3. Okay. Overtaking side distance is the total summation of all this D1, D2 and D3, the distances traveled. Write down this formula. OSD is equal to D1 plus D2 plus D3. What is D1, D2, D3? That we have drawn in the first figure. The figure shows which is given here. That is the first figure that you have drawn already. OSD is equal to D1 plus D2 plus D3. Right? Write down this formula. Then it is assumed that the vehicle A is forced to reduce its speed to VB, the speed of the slow moving vehicle B, and travels behind A during the reaction time T of the driver. So D1 is given by D1 is equal to VB into T. Please see here carefully. What is D1? D1 is the distance traveled by the vehicle A during the reaction time. Okay, in this reaction time, what he decided? He decided to go for overtake the vehicle B. So this D1 is calculated as Vb into T. T is the reaction time, and Vb is the velocity of vehicle B, that is slow moving vehicle. Now, as we see here, the distance traveled, the D1 is the distance traveled by vehicle A, but the velocity is taken as of the velocity of slow moving vehicle, that is B. Why? Because when he when during the reaction time, it is assumed that the vehicle E is traveling with the same velocity as the vehicle B during the reaction time, because as he is in the high speed, but he saw the vehicle B and he reduces the speed and he go with the same speed of the vehicle B, and he start to decide whether he go for the overtaking or not during this reaction time. In the reaction time, he travels with the same speed of B. After that, he decided to go for overtake and he just accelerate his vehicle. Means what? He increases his speed during the distance of D2. So D1 is equal to Pb into T. Pb is the velocity of slow moving vehicle, that is vehicle B. T is the reaction time of the driver. Then the vehicle A starts to accelerate, shift the lane, overtake, and shift back to the original line. What happens? After the reaction time, vehicle A what decided to go for the overtake, he shift the lane, overtake the vehicle B, and shift into his original lane. Okay. The vehicle A maintains the spacing S before and after the overtaking. And the spacing S is given by S is equal to 0.7 Vb plus 6. Okay, the spacing is calculated by the formula 0.7 into Vb plus 6. Let T be the duration of the actual overtaking, and the distance traveled by the B during the overtaking operation is equal to 2S plus Vb into T. Okay, because the total time that is required to overtake the operation is capital T. During this period, the distance traveled by the vehicle is Vb into T, and also he has to maintain the safe distance or the safe spacing between two vehicles, and that spacing is taken as S before it starts the vehicle to overtake and after he overtakes the vehicle. Okay, spacing in the both direction. Please see here in this figure, the S is given. What is S? The spacing between the vehicle at point A2 and B1. See there here, he has given clearly what is S here. What is S? The spacing between this A2 and B1. This spacing is taken as S. Okay. And also when he overtakes the vehicle B, also he has to maintain the spacing. This spacing is also taken as yes. Means what? Before he starts the overtake and after he overtakes, he has to maintain the spacing with the another vehicle B. That spacing is taken as S, and also that spacing is needed to calculate the OESP. So D2 is equal to Pb into T plus 1/2 alpha T square. This is the formula for calculating the D2, distance D2. By this formula, they have calculated T, that is total time required for overtaking operation. And this time is equal to under root of 4S divided by A. This is a very important formula, everyone. Please remember this formula. T is equal to 2s square root of 4s divided by a. This is the time period that actually required for the overtaking operation. Capital T is the overtaking operation time. Okay. And the D3, which is the distance traveled by the another vehicle C, which is coming from the another direction, that is calculated by formula D3 is equal to phi into T. So total OSD is equal to phi B into T plus 2s plus phi B square root of 4s divided by A plus phi into T. Everyone please write down this formula. This formula is required while calculating the OSD to solve the problem regarding the OSD. Everyone please write down this formula. This is very important formula. Write down everyone please. OSD is equal to V into T plus 2s plus VB square root of 4s upon A plus V into T. Written below that, write down where Phoebe is the where Phoebe is the velocity of a slow moving vehicle. VB is the velocity of a slow moving vehicle. Velocity of the slow moving vehicle in meter per second. Velocity of slow moving vehicle in meter per second. Comma. T is the reaction time of the driver in seconds. T is the reaction time of the driver in second. S is the spacing between two vehicles in meter. Spacing between two vehicles in meter. A is the acceleration of overtaking the vehicle. Acceleration of overtaking. Overtaking means which vehicle? A. Vehicle A. In meter per second square. In a meter per second square. Capital V is equal to velocity of fast moving vehicle. Velocity of fast moving vehicle. Fast moving vehicle. Below that, write down note, note. Just a second. Write down below that note. First note, for one-way traffic. For one-way traffic, OSD is equal to, for one-way traffic, OSD is equal to D1 plus D2. For one-way traffic, OSD is equal to D1 plus D2. Because what? As there is no another vehicle coming from another lane, because it is one-way traffic. If there is a two-way traffic, vehicle C might come from the another way lane. But if there is a one-way traffic, there will not be any vehicle C which is coming from the another direction. Okay. So there will not be distance D3. Okay. So when the traffic is one way, OSD is equal to D1 plus D2. There will not be any another vehicle which is coming from opposite direction if there is a one-way traffic. Okay. So we will not take their D3. Then second note, vehicle A and C, vehicle A and C are considered as fast moving vehicle. Fast moving vehicle. Hence, it can be considered as equal. Hence, it can be considered as equal. Therefore, VA is equal to VC. Velocity of vehicle A is equal to velocity of vehicle C. Then note 3, if velocity of slow moving vehicle, note 3, write down, if velocity of a slow moving vehicle in bracket VB, bracket complete, is not given, velocity of slow moving vehicle is not given, then as per the IRC, in next line write down, VB is equal to VA minus 16. VB is equal to VA minus 16 In front of that, write down when VA is in kmph. When VA is in kmph, then VA is equal to in kmph. And below write down that, below that write down, and VB is equal to P minus 4.5, P minus 4.5 when PA is in meter per second. PB is equal to PA minus 4.5 when PA is in meter per second. Okay, means what? What this indicates? Suppose the velocity of a slow moving vehicle is not given. Suppose when the velocity of the slow moving vehicle is not given, at that time we will take the velocity of slow moving vehicle as velocity of fast moving vehicle minus 16. Okay, when the velocity is given in kmph, kilometer per hour. When the velocity is given in meter per second, we'll take the velocity of slow moving vehicle as v minus 4.5 meter per second. Okay. Then next note, write down minimum length of overtaking zone. Minimum length of overtaking zone. Minimum length of overtaking zone is equal to 3 into OSD, is equal to 3 into OSD. Means what? We have to provide minimum overtaking zone as 3 into OSD. Okay. We'll take minimum OSD as 3 into OSD. Okay. By the formula D1 plus D2 plus D3, we will calculate OSD, overtaking side distance. But whenever we are providing the overtaking zone, whenever we are providing the overtaking zone on the highway, at that time we will take it as minimum 3 times and mostly preferred is 5 times OSD. Okay. Next line, write down overtaking zone. Overtaking zone. This is very important. Overtaking zone. Minimum overtaking zone is equal to 3 into OSD. Minimum overtaking zone is equal to 3 into OSD. And below that write down desirable length of overtaking zone. Desirable length of overtaking zone is equal to 5 into OSD. Is equal to 5 into OSD. Okay. The minimum overtaking zone is taken as 3 into OSD and desirable overtaking zone is taken as 5 into OSD. And it is provided when the OSD is not possible. When we should go for the overtaking zone, when it is not possible to provide overtaking side distance. At that time, we will provide the another lane taken as overtaking zone. Okay, in that region. Then ISD is equal to 2 times SSD that we have seen in the first lecture only. That intermediate side distance, how it is be calculated. The intermediate side distance is taken as simply 2 times stopping side distance, 2 into SSD. Then what is side distance? See here in the figure, it is shown. One vehicle should easily see the another vehicle which is coming from another road, so that they should avoid the collision to each other. Okay, so that they should avoid the accident. Also, at the intersection, we have to design the road such that there should be the proper visibility to the driver which is approaching at the intersection. Okay, that care we should have to take whenever we are designing the intersection. And at intersections where two or more road meets, the visibility should be provided for the driver approaching the intersection from the either sides. Okay, where the drivers which are driving the vehicles from the either side, they must visible to each other. They should be able to perceive the hazards and stop the vehicle if required. Stopping side distance for the each road can be computed from the design speed. Okay, how much stopping side distance is required, that we have to compute, and we have to make that much area free to the side distance. The side distance should be provided such that the driver on the either side should be able to see to each other. This is illustrated in the below figure. Okay, how much side distance should be provided? Such that if he saw the another vehicle coming from the another section of road, he should able to stop the vehicle well time before. Okay, as per the stopping distance required depends on the design speed of that road. Okay, that much stopping distance that should be available at the intersection point, so that he can easily stop the vehicle. Means what? Suppose here, see in this figure, this is vehicle number 1. See in this figure, suppose this is vehicle number 1 and another vehicle number 2 is coming from this direction. Vehicle 1 as well as vehicle 2, the driver should be visible to each other. Up to the, what is D1 and D2 here? The D1 distance and D2 distance, these distances are stopping distance. Means what? Minimum this much distance should be available at the intersection to stop the vehicle as per the design speed of that road. Okay, means what? Suppose the vehicle is at this position and he saw the another vehicle coming from this side and he suddenly applies the brake, he will stop here only. This much distance that should be provided as the stopping distance, and this distance depends on what? The design speed of that road. Okay, this distance depends on what? The design speed of the that road. Okay, so this is what that we have to keep in our mind whenever we are designing the intersection. Then our next point is horizontal curves or the horizontal alignment. Okay, our next point is horizontal curve or horizontal alignment. The presence of horizontal curve imparts the centrifugal force, which is reactive force acting outward in the vehicle negotiated. Okay, else we will see one video before that, so that idea how the horizontal curves are there, how it should be divided, that will be clear. We will see one video regarding that. After that, we will see how the horizontal curves are there, what elements that we need to consider in that, how we should go for designing that. See here carefully the video.
Road curves are regular bends in roads to bring a gradual change of direction. Hey, my name is Isil Khan and you are watching an Engineer Boy. Road curves are provided whenever a road changes its direction from one to another, like from right to left or left to right, up to down or down to up, etc. Sometimes road does not change its direction, but still, however, road curves are recommended to be designed. Such situations may come when road alignment passes in historical places or graveyards which cannot be destroyed for the purpose of road construction. Road or highway curves are serious in both pavement and geometric designs. Road curves are provided with a maximum speed limit that should be followed very strictly. It is very necessary that appropriate safety measures be adopted at all horizontal and vertical curves to make the infrastructure road user friendly and decrease the risks of hazardous circumstances. Two types of road curves are normally provided for the age of the driver in road as follows. The number first can be the horizontal curves and the second can be the vertical curves. Let's talk about the horizontal curves. Road curves which are provided in the horizontal plane are known as horizontal curves. Horizontal curves can be an arc of a circle, spiral, an ellipse, or a parabola and a hyperbola. So we can have some classes of a horizontal curve. For example, a simple arc provided in the road to impose a curve between the two straight lines or tangent lines is known by a simple curve. The combination of two simple curves combined together to curve in the same direction is known by the compound curve. Now the combination of two simple curves combined together to curve in the opposite direction is known by the reverse curve. And a curve that has a varying radius is called with a transition curve. Remember, a transition curve is not a circular curve. It can be the part or the portion of an ellipse, spiral, or a parabola. This type of curve can be provided with a simple curve and between the simple curves in a compound and reverse curve. The length of a simple, compound, and reverse types curves can be found with the help of the given formula. L equals pi r pi divided by 180 or L equals pi divided by 360 times 2 pi r or L equals pi divided by 360 times pi d, where L equals the length of a circular curve, r is the radius of the curve, d is the diameter of the curve, and pi is the central or deflection angle of the curve. And furthermore, the length of a transition curve can be calculated with the help of the following three methods. These include by definite rate of superelevation, by arbitrary gradient, and by the rate of change of radial acceleration. I have already uploaded a separate video on these three methods. You can watch that video in the land survey playlist on this channel. And now let's talk about the vertical curves. Vertical curves are provided to change the slope in the road which can and cannot be symmetrical. Vertical curves are parabolic, not circular like horizontal curves. Vertical curves can be in the sag as well as in the crest form, which depends upon the position and direction of the road alignment. For example, the sag type vertical curve are provided when the alignment of the road changes from uphill to downhill. Similarly, crest curves are those which change the alignment of the road from downhill to uphill.
See here, if the gradient is positive, see here, first gradient is positive, means what? Ascending. A second gradient is negative, means what? Descending. Okay. Then the ascending gradients meets descending gradients is what? The one gradient is positive and another gradient is negative. That indicates the vertical curve as a crest. Okay. And if
The vertical curve
it is downhill, that is valley curve. What the valley curve you see in this figure? Valley curve when the first gradient is negative and another gradient is positive. Negative means what? It is descending, and positive means what? It is ascending. If the first gradient is negative and it meets the second gradient, which is positive, it will give the curve as vertical valley curve. Okay, so this is basically difference.
downhill. Similarly, crest curves are those which change the alignment of the road from downhill to uphill. The vertical curve can be provided in the following four conditions. Number first is when the alignment is from the positive to negative gradient. In such a case, the curve is known by the crested curve. In the second condition, when the alignment is from the positive to positive gradient, in this case, the curve can be formed as a sag type curve. Sometimes the alignment leads from negative to negative gradient, which also brings us of course a crested type curve. And finally, the alignment can also lead from the negative to positive gradient, which of course brings us a sag type curve. The length of a vertical curve can be determined with the help of the given formula, which can also be of course revised. The length L equals G1 minus G2 divided by delta G, where of course G1 minus G2 is the total change in gradient and delta G equals the rate of change in gradient. And that's it. So this was a short presentation about the road curves. Hey, if you like the video, please hit that subscribe button, press the bell icon and never miss in other.
This is about short information of the horizontal curves, and whenever we are talking about the horizontal
Update
curves,
from an engineer boy. Thank you dears for watching. See you next time.
the first and most important point that we should know is about the super elevation. What is super elevation? The one edge of the road which is at the higher position than as compared to the another edge. That is known as super elevation. That is the most important part in the horizontal curve, because in the horizontal curve, when the vehicle moves in the horizontal curve, what happens? The vehicle tries to go outside. Why? Because of the centrifugal force. Okay, because of the centrifugal force, it tries to go outside. We minimize or neutralize the centrifugal force by providing the superelevation. Okay, at the horizontal curve, you might have seen whenever you are traveling on the highway, you might have seen whenever you traveling on the horizontal curve, the one edge of that curve is raised as compared to the another edge. Okay, one end of the curve is raised as compared to the another edge. This is called as super elevation. Why this is provided? Because if you don't provide the super elevation, if the road is plain in the horizontal curve as well, then the centrifugal acts on the vehicle and the vehicle can be go outside the road. Okay, because of the centrifugal force. So to neutralize that centrifugal force, we always provide super elevation to that road so that the vehicle can easily pass on that road. So the centrifugal force depends on the speed and radius of the horizontal curve, and it contracts the to certain extent by the transverse friction between the tire and pavement surface. Okay. In the horizontal curve, which friction comes in contact? The lateral friction. It is very important. In the horizontal curve, we always take a lateral friction. In the straight road, when we applies the brake, the longitudinal friction comes in picture, and when we are dealing with the horizontal curve, the lateral friction will come into the picture. Okay. On the curved road, this force tends to cause the vehicle to overturn or slide outward from the center of road curvature. What happens? Due to the centrifugal force on the curved road, the vehicle will try to overturn. Okay, vehicle will get overturned or slides outside from the center of the road curvature. Why? Because of the centrifugal force. For the proper design of the curve and understanding of the force acting on the vehicle, taking a horizontal curve is necessary. Okay. They are the centrifugal force P acting outward. See here, the figure shows the vehicle which is traveling on the horizontal curve. P indicates centrifugal force. Everyone please see here, this is very important figure. P indicates centrifugal force which is acting outward. Centrifugal force will always act outward side. You might have learned in the first year, or in the you are from direct second year, you have might learn in diploma. Centrifugal force always act centrally outward. W is the weight of vehicle which is centrally acting downward. RA is the reaction at tire A. RB is the reaction at tire B, which is developed due to the weight of vehicle. Okay, so this is what the general figure of the vehicle which is traveling on the horizontal curve. Okay, this is general figure that you have given. P is the centrifugal force which always acts outward side. W is the self weight of the vehicle which always act downward because of the gravity. RA and RB has the reaction at the tire A and tire B respectively. The centrifugal force and the weight is assumed to be from the center of gravity, which is at h height above the ground. Okay, please see here. The P force, centrifugal force, and W self weight is assumed to act from the CG of the vehicle. Okay, always the centrifugal force and weight of the vehicle is assumed act from the center, and it is at the height of this height from the surface of the road up to the CG. This height is taken as small h. Okay, from the surface of the road to the CG of the vehicle, that height it is taken as h units. Here it is given as h. Okay, so we'll move forward now. So this is the general idea regarding the how the vehicle, what are the forces that are acting on the vehicle on the horizontal curve. Okay, we'll see in details now. So it is the derivation, it is given. Let us the wheelbase be assumed as the B unit. Base of wheel. Okay, what is base of wheel? In this figure I will show what is base of wheel. These are the very two important terms. Base of wheel means what? From center of this wheel to the center of wheel B. Okay, from center of wheel A to the center of wheel B. This is taken as wheelbase as small b. It is taken as wheelbase as small b, and the height of the CG from the road surface, it is taken as small h. These two terms are very important. That is wheelbase small b and height small h. It is height of CG from the road surface. These two are very important terms that we required to design the formulae, to develop the formulae. These are the important terms that we require to go for. Now we will see Let the wheel base be assumed as B unit. The centrifugal force P in kg per meter square is given by, what is the formula for calculating the centrifugal force? P is equal to W square upon G. Okay, this formula we have seen in the first year only. In the last year, we have seen this formula. P is equal to W square upon GR, where W is the weight of the vehicle in the kg, V is the speed of the vehicle in meter per second, G is the acceleration due to gravity in meter per second square, R is the radius of curve. Okay, so by using the formula W square upon GR, we will calculate the centrifugal force P. Now, if we take the W in the left side, the equation will become as P by W is equal to V square upon GR. Okay, and this ratio P by W, this ratio is known as centrifugal ratio. Everyone, please remember this, or else write down. Everyone, please write down this. This is very important. Everyone, please write down this. The centrifugal force P is equal to, write down this formula. Centrifugal force P is equal to W square upon GR. Write down this formula. By the time you will get forgot. So write down P is equal to W square upon GR. This is formula for calculating the centrifugal force. Okay. Now what we'll take? We'll take the W from right side to the left side. The formula will become as P by W is equal to V square upon GR. Okay. The formula will become as P by W is equal to V square upon GR. This ratio P by W is taken as centrifugal ratio. It is very important as the MCQ point of view. Please write down centrifugal ratio Okay, copy this formula. Centrifugal ratio or the impact factor is equal to P by W is equal to P by W is equal to V square upon GR. This is very important formula. Everyone must write this formula. Okay, are you done? We will move forward. Give it at equation 1. Okay. The centrifugal ratios of formula जो है, give it is at equation 1. Now we will move forward. The centrifugal force has two effects. Okay, the first one is the tendency to overturn the vehicle about the outer wheel and the tendency for the transverse skidding. Okay, because of the centrifugal force, what will happen? It will give the two effects. What is the first effect? It may overturn the vehicle, and what is the second effect? It may go for the transverse skidding. Okay, due to the centrifugal force, the vehicle may get overturned on the horizontal curve, or it will may take the transverse skidding. Okay, taking the moment of the forces with respect to the outer wheel of the vehicle just about the overturn. Okay, what we have done? We have taken the moments of the forces, all the forces that are acting on the vehicle about the outer view. Then what will happen? The final equation will come as P into H is equal to W into B by 2. Okay. Or P by W is equal to B by 2H. At the equilibrium, over the turning is possible when V square upon GR is equal to B by 2H. Okay. When okay. So at the equilibrium condition, what will happen? The V square upon GR. What is meant by V square upon GR? That is P by W. Now only we have taken the centrifugal ratio or impact factor. Okay, it is equal to B by 2H. If it satisfies the equation, the vehicle is taken at equilibrium condition. Okay, for equilibrium condition, what we take at V square upon GR is equal to B by 2H. If this B by 2H will exceeds the V square upon GR, that is given in the below formula, when B by 2H is greater than V square upon GR, then this condition is taken as not safe. Okay. So the safety of the following condition must satisfy B by 2H is equal to V square upon GR. Okay. If it is less than this, it is taken as not safe. It should be greater. Okay. This is the equilibrium condition. Please, everyone, please write down this formula. Write down this sentence first. Taking the moment of the forces, taking the moment of the forces with respect to the outer wheel, with respect to the outer wheel, with respect to the outer wheel, when the vehicle is just about to override, where the vehicle is just about to override. This is a very important formula. Please write down this formula. P by W is equal to B by 2H. Everyone, please write down this formula. This is a very important formula. P by W is equal to B by 2H. What is B? It is wheel base. Okay, the distance between two wheels. What is H? It is the distance between CG from the road surface. It is the distance of the CG from the road surface. It is small h. Then for next line, at the equilibrium, overturning is possible when V square upon GR is equal to B by 2H. V square upon GR is equal to B by 2H. Then for next line, write down for safety, comma, the following condition must satisfy. For safety, the following condition must satisfy. B by 2H should be greater than V square upon GR. B by 2H greater than V square upon GR. Okay, so this is what the safety condition. Okay, B by 2H, this should be greater than V square upon GR. What is V square upon GR? It is centrifugal ratio or impact factor. These names are very important. Please keep in mind. What is meant by V square upon GR? V square by GR means what? P by W. V square upon GR means what? P by W. P by W is equal to V square upon GR is nothing but the centrifugal ratio, or also we call it as impact factor. That P by W is equal to V square GR is equal to B by 2. This is the what? The equilibrium condition when the turning is possible. Okay, overturning is possible. So that to avoid the overturning, what should we have to do? To avoid the overturning, B by 2H should be greater than V square upon GR. This is very important formula. Write down. B by 2H should be greater than V square upon GR. This condition is for what? To avoid the overturning of the vehicle. This is the condition to avoid the overturning of the vehicle. Now we will see the condition to avoid the skid. This is for overturning the vehicle. Okay, because the centrifugal action, it affects in the two manner. One is overturning and another one is the transverse skid. Okay, one is overturn and second is transverse skid. For overturn, we have seen now what is the safety factor. Now we will see for the transverse skid. The second tendency of the vehicle is for the transverse skid. That is when the centrifugal force P is greater than the maximum possible transverse skid resistance due to friction between the pavement surface and tire. The transverse skid F is given by F is equal to FA plus FB, that is FW. Okay. When the transverse skidding will happen? When the whatever will be the frictional resistance between the pavement and tire. If the friction resistance between pavement and tire will be less than the centrifugal force, then what will happen? There will be the skidding of the vehicle. Okay. If the centrifugal force will be greater than the frictional resistance between the tire and pavement. Okay. At that time, what will happen? There will be the skidding of the vehicle. Okay. So avoid the skid of the vehicle. What is important? To calculate the friction between the tire and pavement. Okay. So where the FA and FB are the frictional forces between the tire A and B, and RA and RB are the reaction of the tire A and B. F is the lateral coefficient of friction. W is the weight of the vehicle. Okay. Here, very important. What is F? It is the lateral coefficient of friction. Okay, not a longitudinal. Up till now, we have F is taken as the longitudinal coefficient of friction, 0.35. But here, in the horizontal curve, F will be is the lateral coefficient of friction. That is equal to 0.15. You must remember these values. Longitudinal coefficient of friction 0.35 to 0.4. Lateral coefficient of friction 0.15. So this is countered by the centrifugal force and equating P is equal to F into W. So P by W is equal to F. Okay, but what is P by W? Is equal to F is equal to V square upon GR. We already know that P by W is the centrifugal ratio and it is equal to V square upon GR. Okay, so we will get the final equation as for the skidding, the P by W is equal to F is equal to V square upon GR. Okay, when skidding takes place. So for the safety factor, we must satisfy the condition as F should be greater than V square upon GR. That is what the lateral friction should be greater than V square upon GR, coefficient of lateral friction. Okay, write down these two conditions. Write down these two conditions. For skidding, next line. When the skidding takes place, P by W is equal to, when the skidding takes place, P by W is equal to F. Here F is what? Coefficient of lateral friction. That is very important. If you want, write down in the next line. F is equal to P by W is equal to F is equal to V square upon GR. Okay. In the next line, write down F is equal to coefficient of lateral friction. It is very important. Coefficient of lateral friction. The next line, write down for the safety, comma, the following condition must satisfy. The following condition must satisfy. Next line, F is greater than V square upon GR. F is greater than V square upon GR. What this formula indicates? What is V square upon GR? It is centrifugal ratio. Okay. So to avoid the skidding of the vehicle, we should ensure that F, that is lateral skidding, or the coefficient of the lateral skid, should be greater than V square upon GR. That is the centrifugal ratio. The coefficient of lateral skidding should be greater than the centrifugal ratio. That condition should be satisfied for avoiding the lateral skid. Okay. And for first case, that is to avoid the overturn, what is the condition? V upon 2H. Okay, simply F, replace the F by V upon 2H. Okay, write down this formula, everyone. Write down this formula. It's a very important formula. Okay, we will stop here only. Everyone, please mark your attendance into the chat box. Mark your attendance into the chat box. Everyone mark your attendance to the chat box, then you can left. If you have marked your attendance, then you can left. First mark your attendance to the chat box. Okay. Thank you for attending the lecture.